Mauricio Pochettino's time at Chelsea coming to an end seems to be an inevitability at this point, with the summer window likely being the end of his tenure. But where do we go from there? Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC, and these are 5 managers that could replace Mauricio Pochettino. Number 1. Hansi Flick. One of the only managers on this list that is actually a free agent, Hansi Flick could be an option that Clear Lake & Co opt to bring to the bridge for next season. The German has been out of a job since he was sacked from the German national team set up last September, and his typical high-press German style could translate well for Chelsea like it has the likes of Liverpool with Jurgen Klopp. The 59-year-old was relieved of his duties after a 4-1 loss to Japan in his first friendly of the season and failure to get out of Group E in the 2022 World Cup, and whilst this may be blaring warning signals to stay away from him, it's worth noting that since he was sacked, the results haven't particularly gotten any better for Die Mannschaft. Since then, they've lost to Turkey, lost to Austria and drew to Mexico, with wins versus the USA and France sprinkled in there. Maybe Germany just aren't the same powerhouse of international football anymore. We'll have to see if another possible Chelsea target in Julian Nagelsmann can revitalise them. Before that stint though, Hansi Flick was the head coach of Giants Bayern Munich, with his attacking 4-2-3-1 system bringing them a DFB Pokal, a Club World Cup, a German Club World Cup, a UEFA Super Cup, a Champions League, and of course 2 German League titles, with a points per game rate of 2.53 per match. He won 70 out of 86 games, with only 8 losses in his entire tenure. Unlike our current coach, Flick is an undeniable winner, and though he inherited a very good side to perform these feats, he also wasn't afraid to bring in the youth, with Jamal Musiala, Alphonso Davies, Joshua Zirkzee, Michael Cuichance and others being brought into the fold. Perhaps some of the fringe Chelsea youngsters like Santos, Martsen, Mudryk, Cassidy et al. Could benefit from his guidance. That excellent German side had similar profiles to some in this current Chelsea team: inverted wingers, a right back that is also a great DM, a left-sided centre-back that is great with the ball at his feet, a pacey left-back that almost played like a left winger at times, a deep-lying playmaker and a technical second striker. Chelsea have most of the profiles that Flick's 2019-2020 Bayern team strived with, minus a world-class striker, which seems likely to be resolved in the summer. Flick's team was excellent at systematically pressing, winning the ball back as a unit and not just running around like chickens with their heads cut off. They had tremendous wing play, but didn't neglect the centre of the pitch either, with multiple forms of attack being utilised depending on the opposition. Adaptations were made, performances were good, and games were won. These are things that Pochettino has yet to achieve as Chelsea manager, and like our previous German head coach, could bring us back to the heights that we are supposed to be at. Number 2. Roberto De Zerbi. Another candidate that has become prominent in the media as of late is current Brighton and Hove Albion manager Roberto De Zerbi. The Italian has made waves in the Premier League for his impressive possession-based football, dragging a relatively poor side in Brighton to an incredibly high position in the table with limited resources. Though a lot of Brighton's success was built off of ex-Chelsea coach Graham Potter's reign, De Zerbi has expanded upon that foundation and made the Seagulls into a rather frightening team, scoring goals for fun and playing an attractive brand of football that has bested many teams this season, including top clubs like Newcastle, Manchester United and Spurs, whilst getting to the round of 16 in the Europa League. De Zerbi has made a career out of turning nobodies into somebodies, with a load of unknown players becoming household names under his tenure, both at Brighton and Shakhtar beforehand. Players such as Simon Adingra, Evan Ferguson, Julio Enciso, Kaoru Mitoma, and current Chelsea duo Levi Colwill and Mykhailo Mudryk have all had their careers significantly boosted with De Zerbi's tutelage, and with Chelsea's new transfer policy of buying up-and-coming talent, the 44-year-old could be the perfect fit for this new era Chelsea side. Tactically it makes sense too, with RDZ's core with Brighton being similar to Chelsea's, Moises Caicedo in the middle next to an Argentinian playmaker, Levi Colwill in the left centre-back role to build out from the back, a left-footed English winger that can invert into the midfield, and a rapid right-footed one on the other side, ironically being the same man that De Zerbi's Shakhtar Donetsk in the Ukraine utilised to great effect, Misha Mudryk. The parallels are numerous, and part of that is down to our newfound ownership/sporting directors trying to make Chelsea's project similar to Brighton's, with young talent and low transfer fees being at the forefront, along with De Zerbi's ability to get the most out of average players. With the extra money and resources at his disposal, De Zerbi could build a formidable team that has a clear pattern of play in a familiar 4-2-3-1, and let this team of young Chelsea stars maximise their potential. Number 3. Ruben Amorim. From the Premier League to the Primera Liga, the next head coach that Chelsea no doubt have their eye on is current Sporting manager Ruben Amorim. The media has been loving the Portuguese in recent times due to his success so far this season, with his 3-4-3 system catching the eyes of many tactical analysts in the sport. Relatively new to management, the young 39-year-old was thrust into the limelight in 2020, fast-tracked to the Sporting job in March after former coach Silas was sacked. Despite only having 2 months of experience, the Portuguese Leões paid around €10 million for him, the third highest transfer fee for a manager ever. His performances at former club Braga were impressive, going unbeaten in the league in his 9-game tenure, whilst beating both Porto and Sporting on the way to winning the Allianz Cup. Under him, Sporting have levelled up, winning the league in his first year and since adding a Portuguese Super Cup and 2 Allianz Cups. They are currently on track to add another title, with the Verde Brancos sitting pretty at the top of the table with a game in hand after 23 match weeks. Tactically, this appointment could suit Chelsea too, with past managers employing 3-4-3 systems to great success like Antonio Conte and Thomas Tuchel. The remnants of Tuchel's setup still remain, with wingbacks Ben Chilwell and Reece James still in the team, along with Trevor Chalobah, who was the right centre-back in that system for many games. These three could easily slot into Amorim's 3-4-3 and be the base to build off of. Amorim's Sporting side are great at pressing from the front, excellent at playing out from the back, and threatening going forward with fast passing and wing play, utilising the wing-backs to full effect whilst the wingers operate inside the half spaces. Players in the Chelsea team such as Cole Palmer would excel in this role, with Malo Gusto bombarding up the right side and being one of our key threats this season, with 7 assists in 22 appearances. Some of Sporting's philosophies are similar to that of Pochettino, just sharper, more defined and more drilled. With the foundation to build off of, Ruben Amorim could take those principles to the next level and perhaps have Chelsea in a better spot next season. Number 4. Simone Inzaghi. The second Italian to make this list, Simone Inzaghi is another rogue shout for Chelsea manager come the summertime. The current Inter head coach has the best points per game ratio of any man on this list, with 2.67 ppg in the Serie A this season. To put that into perspective, Chelsea currently have a ppg of 1.38, and if Chelsea had the same ratio, we would currently have 69 points and be first in the league with a game in hand. Inter currently sit atop the Italian league mountain, 15 points clear of Juventus in second place. What Inzaghi has done is nothing short of incredible, with his 3-5-2 formation causing issues for almost every single team in the league. Sassuolo are the only team to have not lost to Inter so far this season, and they haven't played the reverse fixture yet. They have the most goals with 69, the least conceded with only 13 in 27 games, and are on track to their 20th league title, putting them ahead of their AC Milan counterparts. Inzaghi's Inter team shows all the things that we as Chelsea fans would like to see from our own team. Excellent positional awareness in attack and defence, threat from both counter-attacking play and possession play, the ability to break down low blocks, the ability to defend and score from set pieces, the list goes on and on. Inter are incredibly flexible and utilise every single player on the pitch to rotate and try to disrupt opposing teams. Bastoni and DiMarco, for example, are some of the league's most threatening players, and they are 2 defenders. This could translate well to Chelsea, where one of our best players is our creative left centre-back Levi Colwill, who has played at left-back this season and can get up and down the pitch if he needs to, like Bastoni often does. Ian Martson could parallel DiMarco, being a very solid defender but is heralded for his offensive output, with the 3rd most assists in the league and the 2nd most big chances created, only behind Rafa Leao. Another positive sign is the way that Inzaghi uses his midfield. Instead of pushing his creative midfielders high, he allows them to drop deep to pick up the ball and dictate play from there, with the width of the team providing options for switches of play to create space. This sounds like the perfect fit for one Enzo Fernandez, who has been a shadow of his former self under Pochettino, as he's been forced high up the pitch all season, unable to play into his main strength, progressive long passing. This appointment would be an absolute dream, but is obviously very far-fetched, and is likely never to happen. But if it did, the 47-year-old could replicate the success of other Italian Chelsea head coaches, such as Antonio Conte, Maurizio Sarri, and Roberto Di Matteo. Now quickly let's talk about some honourable mentions who I might cover in a later video: Jose Mourinho, Julian Nagelsmann, Thomas Tuchel, Thiago Motta and Diego Simeone. Number 5. Arne Slot. A relatively less spoken about name in the Chelsea fanbase is impressive Dutch manager Arne Slot. Currently the head coach of Feyenoord in the Eredivisie, the 45-year-old has them competing at the top once again, with them winning their first Dutch league title since the 2016-17 season, only their 2nd in the 21st century. Instead of being the 3rd or lesser wheel of the league, they are now once again challenging the top dogs like PSV Eindhoven and Ajax. Slot's typical Dutch 4-3-3 has been very successful in the league, with a focus on direct attacking and cutbacks for simple but effective goals. similar to how Pep Guardiola likes to create chances at times. With Chelsea's lack of aerial ability, this is a tactic that would suit us, as aimless lofted crosses into the box haven't done the business for Chelsea so far this season. They hold a lot of possession, passing patiently until the time is right to go forward, typically controlling games, but not just having possession for possession's sake. They use the ball well, getting a lot of shots off inside and outside of the area. They aren't afraid to shoot. One of the main strengths of this setup is the use of inverted fullbacks. Hertruida, for example, is often tasked with coming more centrally, with the right winger holding the width and using movement to open up passing lanes into the half spaces. This is a tactic that could work well with Reece James, a great passing right back that has experience playing in a DM position as well, or likewise with Cucurella on the other side, who often has operated as a left centre back at times. Cole Palmer on the right hand side would be more than happy to drop deep and wide into these positions, and we've been accustomed to him doing this so far this season. They often utilise runs in behind too, something that is tailor-made for players such as Nicholas Jackson and Misha Mudryk. Arne Slot has had this success with limited resources too, with the club often being a selling club, with names like Kirkchu, Luis Sinisterra, Tyrell Malacia and others all leaving the club during his tenure, and though he's had some signings come in, such as Santiago Jimenez, who's been firing for them ever since, the majority of the investment has been below 10 million euros from much lower standard leagues, who he's then transformed into stars such as Kelvin Stengs, David Hansko, Quinton Timber and the aforementioned Jimenez. This could suit Chelsea to a T, with our young squad and great academy being able to be used and improved, with the owners likely wanting to save some dosh after our big £1 billion transfer splurge in recent times. This Flying Dutchman could be the answer to Chelsea's woes and would slot in very nicely indeed. Could any of these men become the next Chelsea manager? We'll have to wait and see, but if you can't wait until then for more Chelsea content, maybe watch one of these two videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on you Blues!